You are in a Psy-Opp about the value exchange between men and women. Let me explain. You have been raised in this culture that has led you to believe that the things that are valued most highly is a man's attention, him paying attention to you, his validation, him saying that he thinks you're hot or smart or creative or your creativity is good, what you produce is good, and his commitment, that he's willing to date you, to marry you, to father children with you, to enter into economic agreements with you. This is what is valued the most high within a male-centered paradigm. This is a Psy-Opp, and it is something that sets up men as the prize, and it is something that convinces women that men really are the source of all of the things that we want, that they're the source of status, love, connection, security, meaning. It also does this crazy attachment system number on us where if a man can make his attention, validation, and commitment scarce, because we're market driven and we're trained to be market driven in society, it makes that even more valuable. Like if you've ever had a man who will not give you the time of day or who is very stingy with his validation or is always elusive in committing to you, and you find yourself just chasing it and liking him more than everyone else, feeling like only he can be the one to bring you these things. Of course, it's trauma and it's loops and it's attachment system, but also it's just because he's managed to make those resources within him more valuable by their scarcity. It's like he's the limited edition Jordans. He's the Pablo Picasso. Like the validation from him would be the same as having a Pablo Picasso in your home. So part of decentering men comes from being able to decondition from this value structure that has been installed in our minds. And so we do that in a few different ways. The first is we actually have to level set the value that men bring into our lives. And then we need to address the fact of revaluing, of properly valuing all the things that we bring to men as women. And there's the third way that I'll get to at the end. But the only way that men have been able to put these things up so high is by devaluing everything that we bring to them as women. And this is the multidimensionality of this cannot be overstated. In every traditional cosmology that has used men and women, that has used masculine and feminine, women are the source, right? We are the portal through which new life comes. We are the generators. We are the source. All of these different cultures, all these different civilizations, the yin, the shakti, the energetic principle has always been within women. That women are the source, that God is a woman, that the earth is a woman. And this is what the Psy-Opp is trying to get us to forget. Because even within scientific materialism, even within late capitalism, even within just the landscape of social status that men live in, this world of social status of men, it's actually us. Even in that distorted reality, that are still the source. That it is a woman who brings status to a man. Men, they're competing for status, they're paying money for watches, they're paying money for cars, they're becoming CEOs, they're doing all this stuff, and for what? For higher status. Why do they want higher status? For access to women. And then what do? They turn around and they tell us that they don't care about that access. They turn around and tell us that it's not valuable, that we're not valuable to them, and that in fact they are valuable to us. So we're going to do a little mental exercise where we're going to deeply consider the value that just an average woman, any average woman is going to bring to an average man. So let's look at the eternal markets of health, wealth, and relationships. There is study after study after study that the happiest group of people are men with a woman in their life. That they live longer, their hygiene is better, their teeth is better, they have more nutrients in their diet, their home is more beautiful, that they literally live longer. How much value is that? That you live longer, that you have a better quality of health, that you have a better quality of life. Let's look at relationships. That men who have a woman in their life have better relationships, richer relationships. They get more access to relationships because they get to benefit from her social circle, from all the goodwill that she's invested in her relationships. He is getting that value. There's so many men who I know that because of the woman in their life, they have reached out and reconnected with old friends. They have friends they've met through a couple. They've reconnected with their estranged brother, with the children from their first marriage, that they have repaired and restored a network of relationships that we know contributes to greater life span, that we know contributes to greater health, that we know contributes to greater fulfillment and satisfaction in their lives. Not to mention they get a relationship with you that is not only about sex, that is not only emotional. I mean, these things are like tropes for a reason, right? That just an average woman with a man is going to be his life coach, his therapist, his health coach, his cheerleader, his editor of his things, his legal counsel, his whatever. He gets you. Not to mention all the things that you're doing for him. He gets to bask in your radiance. He gets feminine energy in his life. Do you know how touch-starved men are? How lonely they are? How hard it is to be in boy world with all of its competition and its hardness and its meanness and its isolatedness and its tendency of creating otherness and its lack of that depth and connection and emotionality. Boy world is hard. That's why they need us in their life. That's why they love that feminine presence, that warmth, that touch, that grace, that beauty in the home. You're making their life beautiful. You're stopping them down and bringing them into the present moment. You're getting them up off of that futon on the floor, playing video games, barely talking to the men in their life for years at a time. That's so much value. Now, let's talk about wealth, because there's also study after study. Well, first, let's start about this. We're talking about what you bring to a man in his life. Do you know how many women I know who, because they were dating a guy, he went back to school, that he chose a career, that he advanced in his career, that because of her, he has a career, and then study after study that shows that men who are committed to women, who have wives, who have children, who just even have a girlfriend, get promoted, get paid more, get more respect, get more status. I'm going to make another video, but I just want you to stop and really think about these hundreds of hours of labor that you do, hundreds of hours of value that you bring, enriching a man's life. And what you get in exchange for that, it is his attention, validation, and commitment. And a lot of times with a lot of these men, they're not even able to make good on that promise, that they don't commit and they don't nurture the container of that commitment so that it deepens and flows and is healthy and is functional. They don't provide the validation of really seeing you, loving you, and supporting you. And they don't provide quality attention. And so if you're just looking at this exchange, I want you to start doing this thing of just not devaluing them, because I don't think that's the point of decentering men, is to continue some battle of the sexes. But I think that that devaluing that you see here in the decentering men conversation is because women are finally seeing clearly what they're actually getting from men. The value that is truly being given, not the story of how good that value is, not the false inflation of that value, but actually what these men are offering and actually what the quality of that offering is. And then really allow yourself to feel that fullness, that richness of that value that you inherently are, that you intrinsically are, that you naturally emanate and radiate, and that you most certainly bring to every man you meet. And not to mention, just him having you in his life makes him seem so much more safer for other women because of he gets access to other women. Okay, I could go a million more hours on this, and I will. And I will.